And why does this matter so much to me? It's because I know what it is like to have something and then to lose it. And I don't want Britain to lose what it has. I grew up in a poor country, and I watched my relatively wealthy family become poorer and poorer and poorer, despite working harder and harder as their money disappeared with inflation. I came back to the UK, age 16, with my father's last £100 in the hope of a better life. So I have lived with the consequences of terrible governments that destroy lives, and I never, ever want that to happen here.
British Nigerian Kemi Badenoch has strike again, and this time around Nigerians are not having it at all. I mean, they are so angry on social media and mad. We've got so much more for you. Welcome to No Formula here on Onekingmultimedia. My name is SIKA, and if you are just coming across our channel, make sure to subscribe, click on the notification button, and of course, share amongst your friends and loved ones. And as you're doing that, make sure you leave your comment as well. Now, let's set it rolling. Welcome back. Now, if you know this woman, you know that anytime she comes and says something and mentions Nigerian, it's not good. It really isn't good at all. It is always something bad that she has to say about Nigerians. Now, guess what she has to say this time around? Now, she is saying that Nigeria destroys lives. Yes, Nigeria destroys lives, and then she doesn't want that for the Great Britain. Yes, so as we all know, Badenoch has remained unrepented on her negative rhetorics and also submissions over or about Nigeria. I mean, the last time she actually recounted how his brother got robbed by Nigerian police. Yes, she actually referred to Nigerian police as armed robbers. She referred to them as such. If you haven't seen it, let's have a look.
Use them to try and destroy us.
Do you trust the British police?
I do. But remember, my experience with the police in Nigeria was very negative. And coming to the UK, my first experience with the police was very positive. You know, the police in Nigeria would rob us. So when people say, "Oh, I had this bad experience with the police because I'm black and they're white," I was like, "Well, I remember the police stole my brother's shoes and his watch."
His shoes?
Yeah, they took his shoes and his watch. It's a very poor country, so people do all sorts of things, and giving people a gun is just a license to intimidate. But
now, if you don't know Kemi, she is actually the UK's main opposition leader. Yes, that is for the Conservative Party. She is the leader, and she has fired a fresh salvo at Nigeria this time around, as she has expressed concerns about the impact of ineffective governance and also bad governance and corruption. Yes, and she is saying that, you know what, I am Nigerian, of course. I grew up in Nigeria. I had to leave Nigeria when I was 16 years old. And my dad was going through so much because the system was bad. Even though you are rich, you keep going down. You keep going down. You are wealthy. Your stuff are going down because of the inflation and bad governance and corruption and all of that. So right now that she is British, and she finds herself in such a position, she is actually amplifying the fact that they don't have to allow these immigrants in the country for them to do anyhow. You get it? You know, some people would move to a country and they would want the laws to be reformed to suit their taste because of wherever it is that they are coming from. But Kemi is saying otherwise. Well, the last time she threw shots at Nigerians, the vice president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria came and gave her a response.
Kemi Badenoch, the leader of the British Labour or Conservative Party. We are proud of her, in spite of her efforts at denigrating her nation of origin. Rishi Sunak, the former British Prime Minister, is originally from India. He never denigrated his nation of ancestry, nor poured venoms on India. She is entitled to her own opinions. She has even every right to remove the Kemi from her name. But that does not underscore the fact that the greatest black nation on earth is the nation called Nigeria. 1 out of every 4 black men is a Nigerian. And by 2050, Nigeria will surpass the United States, will be the 3rd most populous nation on earth.
So yes, that was the vice president of Nigeria, and he is saying that, Kemi, if you are not proud of us, if you are always having negative rhetorics about us, then please, you are obliged. I mean, you are permitted to take the Kemi out of your name. And then you know that you have disassociated yourself from this country, Nigeria, even though that is your country of origin. And I mean, he also referred to the former prime minister who happened to be of an Indian origin, that this man never, for once, during his tenure, badmouthed India. That is according to the vice president. This man never badmouthed India, but you, Kemi, every chance you get, every little chance you get, you decide to throw shots at Nigerians. You decide to say something negative about Nigeria. You decide to, I mean, it is getting out of hand at this point. But you know what? Let's take our emotions out. You get it? No, wait. Let's put our emotions aside. Let's put our feelings and I mean our sense of patriotism and everything as Africans aside, or specifically Nigerians. Let's put it aside and put on our critical lenses, our constructive lenses. Let's sort of analyze this thing that these people like Kemi, Badenoch have been saying. And sometimes you listen to these people and in some sense, you're right. I mean, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, even though this is a good news. I mean, having to identify a problem isn't a bad thing, right? Or yes. So we have to have a look at that. That there's so much going on the African continent, especially from our African leaders. And when you take a country like Nigeria, Nigeria is a very big country. I mean, in 2050 is going to be the 3rd populous country in the whole world. They are going to surpass the United States of America. And they have so much resources in that country. Nigeria has over 300 languages. You get it? So this alone should tell you that this country is huge and it has so much potential. But let's look at the state of the nation now. Corruption. There's so much corruption going on in that country. Day in, day out, people want to jackpot because the systems have been formed in a way that it is not going to suit you, the middle class, you, the average citizen. It is not going to suit you. And I'm sure these are some of the things Kemi have been pointing out. But the way she goes about it is how Nigerians find offensive sometimes. But when you go on social media, people have been reacting to this particular shot, this new shot by Kemi, and it's been a mixed reaction. There are so many people, surprisingly, who side with her, and there are others, of course, there will always be, who are also not happy with the things that she has been saying, especially with this current one that she has said, and saying that Nigeria will destroy you, Nigeria, I mean, it's getting too much this time around. But also, for me, Kemi should give Nigerians a break. You go and sit there and you say that I'm not Nigeria's PR, I'm not the PR for Nigeria, especially when she says stuff and then she gets this backlash from people from Nigeria. But you say these things and then you proceed to bring the country in everything that you say. You go to an interview, you are asked if you are safe in the UK, you have to bring Nigeria in there. What has Nigeria got to do with the question being asked? You have to just bring Nigeria in there and shame them and then remind them of how bad how bad and very poor they are. I mean, it really isn't nice. I mean, just like UK and I mean all these first world, second world class countries, every country in the world has its own problems. UK has its own problems, so many of them. You guys, your NHS has issues. Your standard of living or whatever, there are issues. There's this rise in stabbing of people, and I mean there are so many issues. We cannot all sit here and then talk about the issues that we have in these countries, right? Yeah. So just as the UK, just as Nigeria, I mean every country has its own issues. Ghana is facing so much right now, especially during this transition period. And so, Kemi, please, Nigerian says, I should tell you to give them a break because they are tired of all these rhetorics day in, day out. They are the same thing. They are getting boring and stuff. Just leave their name out of your mouth. Remember what Will Smith said to Chris Rock? Yes, leave Nigerians' name out of your mouth. I don't want to use the word that he used, but that is what Nigerians have been saying. But let me also hear from you. What do you make of Kemi's rhetorics lately? It seems that people are very, very emotional anytime she speaks. Yes, I would say emotional because sometimes when you put all this patriotism and emotions and feelings aside, you get to sort of understand or pick a thing or two from what she's saying and know that she's not lying about these things. Because yes, the police in Nigeria, they can get very brutal. Police in Nigeria can get very, very brutal. I mean, we were all here when NSAS, the hashtag NSAS started trending on social media. And the whole of the African continent had to add their voice because of the videos and all the narratives and the stories that were coming out from victims of these people. So this thing has been going on. These things have been going on. When you go to the northern part of Nigeria, they are going through some crisis. So many things are going on. So we cannot just sit back and be like, yes, we are patriotic. This is our country. You cannot say this about us. We will keep rotting as a continent, as a huge Black populated nation. We are going to keep rotting. We are always going to talk about the same thing over and over and over and over again. We are going to elect poor leaders, not as in poor. No, they are rich, but when it comes to ideas and governance, they are poor. So if we don't make the necessary adjustment, if we don't sit back and then have some introspection, we are always going to get offended. We are going to get offended all the time. We shouldn't be wearing our emotions on our sleeves all the time. Let's be constructive, and I think it's going to help us as a people. And we wouldn't have to produce people like Kemi. Yes, if systems are working properly, people like Kemi wouldn't come to us and then tell us all these things. You get it? So yes, that is what's coming in from Kemi this time around. I mean, this week is going to be a long week. I can see that the Nigerian media have been reacting to all of these things. So let me also hear from you. What do you make of what Kemi has said or what she has been saying for the past months? I mean, in December, she threw one at us, and then now she has thrown another. So we don't know what's going to happen. And to think that we are just in the middle of January, a new year, and we have to go through all of this. Drop your comments below. Drop them. And then who knows, maybe in the next episode, we are going to read them out loud for you. Or let me hear from you. My name is SIKA. This has been No Formula on Onekingmultimedia. Do well to follow us on all social media platforms at Onekingmultimedia. I'll see you same time, another time. Until then, I'm out.